Can you guys believe that there's an average of 35,000 people who experience homelessness in Canada on any given night?
It is pretty shocking, especially for a country that's labeled as first world.
Exactly. And can you believe that at least 235,000 Canadians experience homelessness per year? According to the definition of homelessness in Canada, is described as a situation in which individuals, families, or communities face unstable or unsafe housing that isn't permanent or appropriate.
Don't forget, it can also include the situation in which someone is unable to or lacks the resources to acquire housing.
That is true. Have you heard of the term chronic homelessness before?
Oh, yes, chronic homelessness is when someone uses a shelter for more than 180 days within the span of a year. There were 94 shelter users within the region of Waterloo in 2016 or 17. Being in 2020 now, the numbers of individuals facing homelessness might be increased, especially due to the ongoing pandemic.
There are also many health outcomes related to homelessness, I assume.
Oh, of course. The health outcomes can range from physical illnesses to mental illnesses. There are studies that show increased chances of infections and diseases, as shown below, within those facing homelessness. And to make matters worse, the rates of mental illness amongst those facing homelessness are also higher in comparison to the general population.
What leads to homelessness?
Oh, that's a good question. There are many contributing factors that can increase the chances of an individual facing homelessness. Those are called risk factors and can include poverty, mental illness, substance dependence or addiction, lack of access to healthcare, and more. Poverty can lead to a direct increase in homelessness, as it is a lack of resources that leads to the inability to maintain stable housing. Mental illness can also be a contributing factor, as it can sometimes lead to individuals not being able to maintain their jobs due to absence and/or stigma against mental illness. This can actually further lead to joblessness and, as a result, homelessness. And then there's substance dependence or abuse, which is another obvious risk factor, as it can affect the financial situation and employment situation of an individual.
Wow, I've never actually thought of that. You mentioned financial, mental, physical health barriers, and even genetic risk factors such as addiction, but you didn't mention healthcare.
Right, the lack of healthcare is both obvious and not. So we know that lack of healthcare can lead to increased negative mental and physical health, but not many people understand just how difficult it can be to access healthcare.